Hey, what's up everyone? I hope you guys are having a beautiful day. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about why we procrastinate. So this should be the third video of my 7 video series, and I don't know, doesn't it always seem that whenever we have something very important that's when it that's when we procrastinate the most, and it literally takes us forever to actually get it done. And at least for me, a lot of the times it's not actually the task itself that takes a lot of time. It is the procrastinating of doing the task that eats up all of my time, right? So I'm going to discuss to you guys about the 7 inner demons that we have when it comes to procrastinating. And today I'm only going to talk to you guys about the third one, and this is the comparer, right? So this is the insecurity inside of you that compares yourself to others. It looks at others and it makes you think, yeah, I don't know, it would take me so long to get there, and it'd be so much work to get where they are, right? That possibly could not be me, or that couldn't possibly be me, right? Should I even try, right? And this type of, mindsets in itself, when I am saying it out loud like this, is kind of obvious. Like, yes, of course you should still try, right? But I don't know about you guys, but when I was younger, I would play with Legos occasionally, right? And I would get a big box of Legos, and I would be super excited to play with them, right? I would see all these cool, towers and dragons, or roller coasters, or whatever else that would be made out of Legos on the front cover or on whatever else. And in a way, I used that as inspiration, but in no way was my 7 or 6-year-old self able to make anything close to that. But what was cool about that, though, was that when I was playing with those Legos, right, I didn't have that comparer in me to procrastinate with that, because I was coming from a place of focusing on myself, right? And I think that's the real key of kind of defeating the comparer, right? Excuse me. So essentially, there it is again. But this kid, right, who's playing with Legos, he could build the crappiest thing, but still be happy to still be playing, to still be in the process, and still be working towards it, right? This kid doesn't care, and this kid being chubby, 6-year-old, 7-year-old Jackie, right? Not comparing himself to the cover or to whatever else, right? Because I was focused on myself. I was focused on what I could create and what I could do, right? So, like I said earlier, this is really the key to defeating the comparer. And the reason why we procrastinate with the comparer, right, is because the comparer and comparisons in themselves, right, a lot of the times, if it's not coming from a place of looking for inspiration, and it's coming from a place of, oh, they're better than me, that feeling is very uncomfortable. And like I mentioned in my last video yesterday, in part 2, that it's human nature for us to move towards comfort and move towards pleasure and away from pain and discomfort, right? So if we associate the task that we're doing with this comparison, right, we're comparing, or then we're gonna have this associated discomfort from our task. So our human nature is gonna make us, stall and wait and push off that discomfort from that comparison, right? So the most obvious thing to do, and it probably is a lot harder than it sounds, but is to realize and catch yourself when you are stopping something because you're comparing it. And then once you notice that the comparer is here, you're like, oh, hey, I see you. And then you have to make sure and look and see if you're associating, that negative feelings, that discomfort with what you have to do, right? And if that's the case, then you know that you just have to focus on yourself and not let that be a barrier, because the compare is not as obvious of a inner demon as, say, the other two I mentioned earlier, right? The compare is subtle. The compare is almost working at a subconscious level. So this is where it really pays off to be mindful and to kind of acknowledge and I guess take a moment to see why you're not doing work. So that basically wraps it up for what I have to say about this third inner demon, the compare. If you like this content, make sure to press the button and subscribe. And stay tuned for the fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh inner demon when it comes to procrastinating. Or if you haven't already, you could watch the first and second one in my YouTube channel. So with that, expect some cool content coming up soon.